Hi, so this is going to be for those new ones that have recently started looking at my page. If you haven't noticed, I have started being a bit more vocal on the data center situation in Texas. And I wanted to go ahead and clarify why I hadn't been more vocal prior, and that was really centered around the fact that I didn't fully understand and I refused to speak not only on something I don't understand at the time, but also I like to come with solutions. So, as I have been more vocal on the data centers, I wanted to point out that Van Zant County, where I reside in Texas, we have a green energy based moratorium, which is focused on the solar, the wind, and the batteries. And it has been in place since February. And it's been very functional as far as looking into things, and also have had a few projects pull out since the passing of our moratorium. However, I now see this as a way to expand that to include industrial projects. So, follow me. Solar, wind, battery, and data centers are all industrial projects, and there's a large consumption of agricultural rural land being consumed for these various projects. So, our moratorium covers, again, the solar wind battery aspect, but in reference to the national security concern of the CCP. So the laws and list that we used, for example, was the governor's own executive order from November of 2024, also the state prohibited technology list and the Lone Star Infrastructure Protection Act law, as well as what I'm wanting to do from there. All of these state basically the Chinese Communist parties for military civil fusion. What I think would be the next best step for even my county is to add in the National Defense Authorization Act, with the President of the United States now stating that these are a national security need, and knowing which parts to look at using the fire standards and codes within, whether it be security, software, so on and so forth, we could then evaluate the CCP infiltration at that point to ensure that nothing is violating state and federal law as far as use of critical infrastructure or national security assets as they apply to industrial projects within certain counties or within really in America, but this is primarily in Texas, right? And when I first went off to pass this first moratorium with the work that we did in it, I made a point to get a lot of attention from various areas to our commissioner court. And the purpose of that was to get the governor to look. The moratorium that Van Zant County is a prime example of the type of moratorium that the governor, Greg Abbott of Texas, could use to slow down and review and look into these projects to make sure that we're not violating national security as we push forward, we're not consuming Texas resources and further harming our infrastructure. So again, this is going to be very short. I just wanted to touch on those things, that while we're talking about the data centers, I want you to know that there are solutions and they're already available. So we need to be looking at those and not just talking about he said, she said, both sides are wrong. In the end, we don't know the reality of that until we get those answers and studies done. And honestly, the studies are not showing in favor of the data centers. So thank you, everybody, and keep following along. We're going to get to the bottom of this.